Hey everyone, welcome to Dank Ferric for a new Star Wars What If. The question posed today will be a unique one: what if Han Solo died on Bespin? This one comes from user Anakin Skywalker in the comments of one of the last What If videos. But before we begin, do remember to subscribe if you're new and you enjoy this for regular Star Wars content right here on Dank Ferric. But without anything further, this is What If Han Solo Died on Bespin. Our story would begin in a familiar place. After escaping the Empire, after fleeing the Hoth system, the Millennium Falcon would end up on Bespin, in the heart of Cloud City. But what they didn't know is that the Empire was already there waiting for them. They would be the ideal bait for Luke Skywalker. Just as before as well, Darth Vader would make a deal with Boba Fett. However, Han Solo would need to be the tester for the Carbonite freezing process. And this is where we pick up with our own version of the future. As "I know" left his lips and his eyes left the Princess Leia Organa, he would look up as he was dipped into the Ugnaught Run freezing chamber. His best friend, his love, the droids, Imperial officials and more watched as the massive metal claw reached in to pull him back out. Han was frozen, his form locked in as fearful, but then as the life signs were checked, they would be gone. They were non-existent. The Carbonite freezing process had killed Han Solo. Chewie would roar in pain, Leia would sink, but Boba Fett would be annoyed, though not too badly. After all, Lord Vader did promise to pay him the bounty, if not more so, should Solo have died in the process. And just as that deal was struck, it was kept. Now, where does this place the story we know moving forward? Well, most events would likely play out similar, with a few key differences. Luke Skywalker would be defeated that day, while his companions in Lando Calrissian made a break for the Falcon and escaped. Though once they eventually reached the Rebel fleet, they wouldn't make plans to free Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine. There was no rendezvous point. This time, all they could do was push forward for the next step in the fight against the dark side and the Galactic Empire. Now, this means something imperative for Boba Fett. It means that the sail barge battle over the mighty Sarlacc would never have occurred, which means that Boba Fett would never have fallen into the pit or lost his armor. This means that the story totally changes, the story for Boba Fett does, and that the Boba Fett we see in his return after the fall of the Empire in The Mandalorian would never have unfolded that way. If at all, he would probably have pushed on as he always did in the years before.
Got warmed? Yeah, she's coming up.
Yeah, well, I don't think the Empire had Wookiees in mind when they designed her, Chewie.
So now it's time to look at the deeds of Han Solo after that point in the original story, at least in the time frame of the original trilogy, specifically the Battle of Endor's ground assault to destroy the shield generator. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm of the belief that Han was instrumental in that effort, as in him being a basic rebel officer or someone else would have changed things. It's the tact, the wit, and the clever underworld way of thinking that keeps Han Solo a step ahead, or near a step ahead, so much of the time. And in truth, much of that was needed on Endor. The Imperials weren't expecting it, and while yes, it only got the rebels so far before the Ewok intervention, it was still key. And I'm not saying the shield generator would never have not been destroyed. It certainly would have. However, it would have just happened a bit later in the battle. Remember that the second Death Star began targeting rebel cruisers and larger starships. That was all an essential part of the plan, trapping the fleet so they could be picked off.
On one, this is Gold Leader.
It's all right. All craft prepare to retreat.
You won't get another chance at this, Admiral.
We have no choice, General Calrissian. Our cruisers can't repel firepower of that magnitude.
And we'll have that shield down. We've got to give him more time.
Which means we may have seen so much more loss leading up to that point when the second Death Star was finally destroyed. Admiral Akbar and other critical rebel leaders or Admiralty could have been wiped out far sooner without Han's push to get into that bunker on the moon one way or another. As I said, the rebels would have likely won. I don't believe that would have changed at all. However, it would be a victory with more fatalities. That much is for certain. And so it's time to peer into the future, far into it, if Han Solo were taken by the Carbonite freezing process. He and Leia would never have had their son.
We lost our son. Forever.
No, it was Snoke. He seduced our son to the dark side, but we can still save him. Me.
This would have changed the Star Wars sequel trilogy in many ways. It could have changed what we saw come of Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. In truth, the First Order could have destroyed the Resistance in one swift stroke in The Force Awakens. Do remember that Han Solo was the daring pilot willing to fly Finn and Chewie in to disable the shields of Starkiller Base. And yes, Poe Dameron could have done so, but he wasn't going to. He was essential to destroying the Oscillator and leading the fighter assault to do it. That would always be the same. Though beyond that, at the core of Star Wars, Han Solo's death would have changed a few important things. Boba Fett is one for certain. And as for Endor, like I said, victory could be found by the Rebel Alliance, but it would have been one with more fatalities. But you tell me, what do you think could have happened if Han Solo died on Bespin? Do you think things would change more than this, less than this? Either way, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new for regular, quality Star Wars content right here, right on Dank Ferric. Though until the next time, stay safe you guys, and do remember that the Force will be with you, now and always.